Hi, I'm Senator Mike Lee. If you've ever visited Utah, my home state, you probably know how extraordinary it is. Whether it's our high rates of upward mobility, our vibrant civic culture, our unparalleled private welfare system, or the fact that, notwithstanding this winter's drought conditions, we have the greatest snow on earth. I love to boast to my colleagues in Congress about Utah and rave about its exceptional qualities. But there's one extraordinary fact that I like telling my colleagues about more than any other. Unlike the others, though, this fact is not a source of pride or prestige for the people of Utah, but a source of great frustration and indignation. Did you know that Utah is ranked second among the 50 states in terms of the percentage of land within our borders that's owned and managed by the federal government? That's right. A whopping 2/3 of the state of Utah is the property of Uncle Sam. Many people in Washington are shocked by the size of the federal estate in Utah, unless they're from one of the other dozen states in the West, where the federal government owns between 20 and 80% of the land. The federal government's monopoly on land in the West is profoundly unfair and grossly inefficient for the citizens of the West, but it's also extremely costly for everyone else. The truth is, excessive federal land ownership is a bad deal for all Americans because, as you might expect, the federal government isn't a very good landlord. In fact, it may be the only property owner on earth that loses money by owning and managing land. But it's also the most powerful property owner on earth, so it sticks the American taxpayers, no matter where they live, with the bill. In Utah, for instance, the two largest federal land agencies are the Bureau of Land Management, or BLM, and the Forest Service. Each year, what these two federal agencies spend to manage their land exceeds the revenue they receive from that land by roughly $45 million. Multiply that figure across the other dozen states west of the Continental Divide, and you end up with a huge tax burden on the American people, just so the federal government can maintain its control of the land in the West. Taking money from the citizens of Midwestern and Eastern states to pay for the mismanagement of land in Western states is little more than a wealth redistribution racket in which the federal government is the middleman and also the sole beneficiary. It defies common sense and violates our most basic principles of equality and localism. Giving the citizens of Western states the same rights as everyone else in the country to use, manage, and enjoy their land according to their own needs and priorities is both a moral and an economic imperative for all Americans. As we work toward achieving a full transfer of land to the state governments, there are a number of steps we can take to give the people of Utah and other Western states more control over their land. For instance, in the Senate, I recently introduced an amendment to curb excessive litigation under the Endangered Species Act and to prevent the BLM from entangling energy development permits in unnecessary delays. But ultimately, the success of these efforts depends on our ability to make the case that federal land ownership in the West is a national problem that affects all Americans. The good news is this idea has already gained traction among many states east of Colorado, where people are beginning to recognize the large fiscal cost imposed on them by federal land ownership that's just frankly excessive. In South Carolina, for instance, the state legislature recently passed a resolution expressing their support for the transfer of federal lands to the western states. The state of Utah passed a similar resolution this month, and many other states across the country are poised to follow suit. I applaud all those who are involved in this effort and look forward to working with anyone committed to reducing the federal stranglehold on land in the West and empowering local control. Thank you.